They were known as the elite warriors of the plains, a name that sent shivers down the spines of their enemies and inspired awe in their allies. Across the vast, windswept landscapes of what we now call Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming, their reputation was carved in courage and conflict. They were the Cheyenne Dog Soldiers. In today's journey into the heart of Native American history, we'll uncover the incredible story of the Hotamétaneo'o, or Dog Men, as they were known to the Cheyenne people. We'll explore their unique, almost mythical origins, their unbreakable warrior code, the striking regalia that announced their presence, and the pivotal role they played in the Cheyenne Nation's desperate fight for survival against westward expansion. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the Dog Soldiers were considered among the most formidable warriors of their time, and why their legend continues to echo through the ages. If you're as passionate about the raw, untamed history of the American West and its native peoples as we are, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on our future explorations. Part 1. The birth of the Hotamétaneo'o, a unique beginning. The Cheyenne Nation, the Tsitsistas, meaning the people, possessed a sophisticated societal structure. Governance was shared between the Council of 44 peace chiefs, responsible for overall tribal welfare, and several military societies. These societies were the nation's warriors, tasked with maintaining discipline, policing large gatherings, and providing military leadership. The great prophet Sweet Medicine had designated the first 4 warrior societies or generations before: the Fox Warriors, Elk Warriors, Shield Warriors, and Bowstring Men. But the Dog Soldiers, the Hotamétaneo'o, emerged later, their establishment directed by a visionary dream given to the elders, setting them apart from those original 4. One powerful legend tells of a young Cheyenne man who, after initial ridicule, prayed for guidance to start a new society. As he sang sacred songs, camp dogs grew restless. He led them to a river bottom where a lodge miraculously appeared. As the dogs entered, they transformed into humans dressed in the striking regalia of the Dog Men, teaching him their sacred songs, dances, and ceremonies, and promising great success. This extraordinary origin, linked to supernatural intervention and the symbolic loyalty and fierceness of the dog, gave the Dog Soldiers a unique spiritual power and immense pride from their inception. From the late 1830s, the Dog Soldiers underwent a significant evolution into a powerful independent band. The devastating 1849 cholera epidemic wiped out nearly half the southern Cheyenne, particularly the Massacota Band. Many Massacota survivors subsequently joined the Dog Soldiers, swelling their ranks and fundamentally altering their structure. The Dog Soldiers effectively absorbed the Massacota remnants, even taking their traditional place in the camp circle. Then, around 1837, an incident involving Dog Soldier Chief Porcupine Bear, who killed his cousin during a dispute, led to his expulsion and the temporary disgrace of the society. This ostracism, paradoxically, contributed to their consolidation as a separate entity, as Porcupine Bear and his followers were forced to camp apart, reinforcing their independent identity. These crises forged them into a more autonomous and formidable unit, attracting ambitious and militant warriors. They made their home in the headwaters of the Republican and Smoky Hill rivers, a territory encompassing parts of modern-day southern Nebraska, northern Kansas, and northeastern Colorado. Part 2. The Warrior's Path, Forging an Elite Force. To become a Dog Soldier was to commit to a demanding warrior life. While specific initiation details are not extensively documented, Cheyenne warrior societies shared secret rites and fostered a powerful brothers-in-arms ethic. Young Cheyenne boys were trained in the ways of warfare from an early age, learning bravery and martial skill. Membership wasn't compulsory. Warriors chose their affiliation, and the Hotamétaneo'o particularly attracted those unequivocally hostile to encroaching settlers and who chose warfare as their primary means of resistance. Training focused intensely on skills essential for plains survival and dominance. Horsemanship was paramount, as Cheyenne warriors were renowned for their equestrian abilities. They mastered traditional weapons like the bow and lance, and showed remarkable adaptability by quickly incorporating firearms, learning to fire rifles with deadly precision. A core tenet of their warrior culture was counting coup, striking an enemy with a coup stick, bow, or even by hand, an act of bravery often considered a greater achievement and a more profound display of courage than simply killing an opponent. The primary duty for every dog soldier, like all Cheyenne warriors, was the unwavering protection of their village, their women, and their children from harm. The dog soldiers lived by a strict military code that solidified their elite reputation. This code was most dramatically embodied in the tradition of staking out with the dog rope. The dog rope was a long sash, often made of lavishly decorated buffalo hide, worn by select leaders. In the heat of battle, a dog soldier carrying this emblem would drive a picket pin attached to the rope's end into the ground, effectively anchoring himself to that spot. He was then honor-bound to fight there, unable to retreat unless released by a fellow dog soldier. To pull the pin himself and flee meant everlasting disgrace, a fate often considered worse than death. This act was a profound public declaration of unyielding courage, a physical and psychological point of no return. They were expected never to retreat and, if necessary, to lay down their lives to cover their people's escape. This absolute commitment was sometimes misunderstood by outsiders, but it was an ultimate pledge to protect their community and way of life. The society was led by one principal chief and 7 assistants, 4 of whom were chosen for their exceptional courage to be the dog rope wearers and lead in battle. Part 3. Sacred Power and Warrior Spirit, the Medicine of the Dog Men. The Cheyenne lived in a deeply spiritual world where all elements of nature possessed interconnected spirits. They recognized a supreme being, Mahe'o, the giver of all good gifts, and 4 powerful spirits associated with the cardinal directions. Visions held profound importance, connecting individuals with guardian spirits. Major ceremonies like the sun dance were vital for world renewal and acquiring spiritual power. 2 sacred artifacts are paramount to the Cheyenne nation, the mahotsa, or sacred arrows, and the esavone, the sacred buffalo hat. The 4 sacred arrows, 2 for hunting success and 2 for victory in battle, were given by sweet medicine and symbolize male power and the Cheyenne soul. The sacred buffalo hat, a gift from the prophet erect horns, symbolizes female power. Together, these represented Mahe'o's covenants, assuring life and blessings. The dog soldiers were deeply embedded within this spiritual framework. Their unique origin from a prophetic dream provided them with a distinct spiritual mandate. This manifested in various practices. Dog soldier songs, for instance, were accompanied by a uniquely shaped snake rattle. Like other warriors, they understood their shields to be imbued with spiritual power or medicine, requiring specific rules and ceremonies to maintain its strength. If a shield touched the ground, it necessitated purification rituals. The dog ropes, their most iconic insignia, were not mere battle implements but objects of high status, and their transfer from one warrior to another was marked by ceremony and feasting, indicating their sacred nature. One intriguing tradition mentions that dog soldiers, when staking themselves in battle, would use one of 3 sacred arrows they traditionally carried, possibly elevating the act to the highest spiritual plane. For the dog soldiers, warfare was never merely a physical contest, but an endeavor deeply intertwined with spiritual ritual, where adherence to sacred protocols was as crucial as martial skill. Part 4. Regalia of the Elite, announcing their presence. The dog soldiers were instantly recognizable by their distinctive regalia, a potent visual language communicating their elite status and formidable power. This attire was imbued with symbolic meaning and spiritual power. Dog soldier officers wore particularly striking globular headdresses, caps entirely covered with black raven or crow feathers, each meticulously tipped with white gypsum glue. Rising from this dark mass was a crest of 6 golden eagle tail feathers, similarly marked and adorned with yellow horsehair. These elaborate headdresses were reserved for specific officers. More broadly, dog soldiers were known for their upright feathered war bonnets, often of raven or crow feathers, set so the feathers pointed skyward, but were also somewhat jumbled, creating a fierce and imposing silhouette. The most defining piece of dog soldier regalia was the dog rope. These were long sashes, typically 10 to 12 feet when staked out, crafted from buffalo skin or buckskin and elaborately decorated with porcupine quills, feathers, and beads. Worn over the right shoulder and under the left arm by the four most courageous battle leaders, its solemn purpose was to stake out the warrior in battle. Other elements completed their appearance. They wore whistles made from an eagle's wing bone, suspended by a thong around their necks. Their belts were distinctively made from 4 skunk skins. The 2 bravest dog rope wearers were further distinguished by leggings fringed with human hair, taken as scalps from enemies. Fringed moccasins were also part of their attire. Even their horses were part of their martial presentation, often adorned with silver-mounted headstalls, their tails sometimes wrapped, and their bodies painted with symbols of the riders' coups. This elaborate system of regalia served as a clear visual communication system and a deliberate psychological weapon intended to intimidate opponents. For weaponry, the dog soldiers wielded traditional Cheyenne bows and meticulously crafted arrows, lances, and spiritually powerful shields. Crucially, they demonstrated remarkable adaptability by quickly mastering firearms, becoming proficient with various guns, including Kentucky and plain-style rifles, and later, more advanced weaponry such as Winchester carbines and revolvers. Their ability to combine traditional combat skills with the advantages of these new weapons made them an even more formidable force. Part 5. Guardians and Rebels, a complex role in Cheyenne society. Military societies were fundamental to Cheyenne society, acting as enforcers of tribal law, maintaining discipline, and providing military leadership. The dog soldiers fulfilled these duties, notably serving as the rear guard when the entire village was on the move, a vital protective role. However, their trajectory was unique. They ascended to become the most powerful and overtly militant of all the Cheyenne military societies. As their influence burgeoned from the 1850s and 1860s onward, they began to challenge the authority of the traditional Council of 44 peace chiefs. This was largely due to profound disagreements over how to respond to American westward expansion. While peace chiefs like Black Kettle often sought accommodation, the dog soldiers vehemently opposed such policies, consistently refusing to sign treaties that would cede their lands or confine them to reservations. Their opposition was so pronounced that in 1865, Colorado's Governor John Evans testified that the chiefs could not control them. This growing schism eventually led to the dog soldiers becoming effectively separated from other southern Cheyenne bands, forming a distinct third division of the tribe. They even impacted Cheyenne social structure by establishing their own camps and requiring married members to bring their wives to the dog soldier band, contrary to the customary matrilineal practice. Compared to other societies like the Fox Warriors or Elk Horn Scrapers, the dog soldiers were distinguished by their unique prophetic origin, their evolution into a territorial band, their unwavering militant stance, and their specific customs like the dog rope ceremony. Part 6. A Force on the Plains, Military Prowess and Legendary Leaders. The Cheyenne dog soldiers earned a reputation as the most feared warriors on the Central Plains during the mid-19th century. Despite the Cheyenne Nation's relatively small numbers, they were considered the most potent indigenous military force in the region between 1820 and 1869, with the dog soldiers often at the vanguard. Their military effectiveness stemmed from disciplined tactics, adaptability, and unwavering resolve. The staking out ritual was their most iconic display of commitment. They were highly skilled horseback warriors and quickly learned to use firearms with considerable precision. Sometimes they would alter their tactics to emulate their enemy, such as forming a line and charging headlong like cavalry. Several key leaders emerged from or became closely associated with the dog soldiers. Porcupine Bear was an early 1830 leader whose actions helped transform them into a separate band. Tall Bull, Hotamétaneo'o, was a prominent chief in the late 1860s. Though he advocated peace at the Medicine Lodge Treaty, 1867, he later led fierce resistance and was a key figure until his death at the Battle of Summit Springs, 1869. Whitehorse was another important leader in the mid-1860s who often called upon Roman Nose to lead. Roman Nose, Vuxene, though an elk warrior, frequently led dog soldiers in major engagements due to his immense prestige and perceived spiritual power from his war bonnet. He was a pivotal figure in battles like Fort Wallace, 1867, and Beecher Island, 1868, where he was killed. Pawnee Killer was another dog soldier leader involved in conflicts such as Hancock's War, 1867, and the Battle of Julesburg, 1865. Part 7, Decades of Conflict, the Fight for a Homeland. The 1860s marked the zenith of dog soldier resistance, a period of intense conflict as they fought to defend their homeland in Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming. A primary motivation was retaliation for atrocities such as the Sand Creek Massacre in 1864. They consistently refused treaties, positioning themselves as the most implacable foes of American encroachment, often forming intertribal alliances with the Lakota and Arapaho. Key engagements included the Battle of Julesburg, January to February 1865, where dog soldiers and allies successfully raided and burned the town in retaliation for Sand Creek. In July 1865, at the Platte Bridge fight, Cheyenne warriors, including dog soldiers, achieved a decisive Indian victory. During Hancock's War, spring 1867, dog soldiers skillfully evaded Custer's pursuit. The Battle of Beecher Island, September 1868, was a brutal 9-day siege where Roman Nose was killed, a heavy blow to the warriors. The U.S. military strategy of enlisting indigenous scouts from rival nations, particularly the Pawnee, proved invaluable against the Cheyenne, most notably at the Battle of Summit Springs. Part 8, The Fading Light, Why Their Power Waned. The formidable power of the Cheyenne Dog Soldiers, dominant for years, began to wane significantly by the late 1860s. This decline was not due to a single cause, but a confluence of devastating military defeats, critical losses in leadership, the impact of disease, internal tribal divisions, and the relentless pressure of American westward expansion. The Battle of Summit Springs in July 1869 stands as the most catastrophic military blow. U.S. Army forces, guided by Pawnee scouts, surprised and overran Tall Bull's main dog soldier village. Tall Bull himself was killed, along with a significant number of his warriors, effectively breaking their power as a major cohesive military band. The loss of other key leaders, such as Roman Nose at Beecher Island, had already begun to erode their strength. Disease, like the 1849 cholera epidemic, had a persistent, insidious role in weakening Plains peoples over time. Internal Cheyenne politics, with the dog soldiers' increasing militancy leading to a division within the nation, may have also isolated them. Ultimately, the sheer scale of American expansion, relentless military campaigns, the construction of railroads, and the decimation of the buffalo herd struck at the very foundations of their way of life, proving overwhelming. By the mid-1870s, the dog soldiers' dominance as a fighting force had faded. Part 9. Echoes in Time, an Enduring Legacy and Modern Revival. Despite their military decline in the late 19th century, the Cheyenne Dog Soldiers left an indelible mark on American history and, more importantly, on Cheyenne collective memory. Their legacy is preserved through various powerful mediums, most notably the vivid visual narratives of ledger art and the enduring strength of oral tradition. Cheyenne ledger art, which flourished during this tumultuous period, provides an unparalleled first-hand account of dog soldier life, their valorous deeds, and significant battles recorded by warrior artists themselves. The famed Summit Springs ledger book, captured in 1869, contains over 100 color drawings and is considered an invaluable dog soldier perspective on events. The act of creating and preserving these books was an act of cultural assertion. Oral tradition has also been pivotal. Accounts from respected Cheyenne historians like John Stans in Timber and the letters of George Bent, who rode with the Dog Soldiers, offer nuances and cultural context often absent from non-Cheyenne records. These indigenous accounts are essential for a complete understanding. The Dog Soldiers are remembered for playing a critical role in the preservation of Cheyenne identity and sovereignty. Their historical narrative is complex, recognizing their bravery and resilience while acknowledging the harsh realities of the warfare they engaged in, a fight for existence against relentless encroachment. Remarkably, the spirit and traditions of the Dog Soldiers endure. The society is reported to be making a comeback, active today on the Northern Cheyenne Indian Reservation and among Cheyenne and Arapaho tribes in Oklahoma. This modern revival represents an active reclamation of traditional governance, spiritual practices, and community responsibilities, a powerful statement of cultural sovereignty. The Cheyenne Dog Soldiers, the Hotamétaneo'o, stand as one of the most formidable and iconic warrior societies of the American Plains. Their unique prophetic origins, their evolution into an independent and defiant militaristic band, their striking and symbolic regalia, and their unwavering warrior code all contributed to their legendary status. They were central figures in the Cheyenne resistance to American westward expansion, their name synonymous with fierce determination. Their story serves as a compelling microcosm of the broader indigenous resistance across North America during the 19th century. The legacy of the Dog Soldiers is multifaceted, remembered through their own art, oral tradition, and historical accounts. They remain a potent symbol of Native American courage and the tragic realities of cultural collision. While their military dominance was eventually broken, the spirit of the Hotamétaneo'o, their unwavering commitment, fierce pride, and unyielding resistance, was not extinguished. This enduring spirit is honored and actively reclaimed in the modern revival of the Dog Soldier Society, a testament to the tenacity of the Cheyenne people and the lasting power of their ancestral heritage. The story of the Cheyenne Dog Soldiers is a powerful chapter in American history. What part of their story stands out to you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this journey into the past valuable, please give us a like, subscribe for more deep dives into history, and share this video with fellow history enthusiasts. Thanks for watching.